Every textbook paints Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni as a villain, a ruthless destroyer of Hindu temples, an enemy of an entire civilization. But what if that story is only half true? Let's go back 1,000 years and find out what really happened. The world's superpower. Around 1,000 years ago, the Islamic world was the undisputed superpower of the planet. And the crown jewel of that power was the Abbasid Caliphate, a civilization so advanced it shaped the modern world we live in today. At its peak, a visionary caliph understood something most rulers never do. Real power isn't just military strength, it's knowledge. So he built a massive library in Baghdad, open to scholars of every background, Muslim, Hindu, and Christian alike. This became the world's greatest research hub. The algorithms powering the video you're watching right now, they trace back to Al-Khwarizmi, one of the scholars who worked in that very city. The fall from within. But like all great empires, cracks appeared from the inside. The caliph built a powerful army to protect the empire, and that army eventually took control of it. In just 10 years, 5 caliphs were poisoned or assassinated. The empire fractured. Out of this chaos, a new power rose from the city of Ghazni in Afghanistan, a dynasty of Turkish origin that would change history. Enter Mahmud of Ghazni. This new empire found its greatest leader in a man named Mahmud of Ghazni. He rapidly consolidated control over Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, and surrounding regions. He understood that the Abbasid Caliph was now just a figurehead, powerless. And so, for the first time in world history, a new title was born, Sultan, meaning absolute power. Mahmud became the world's first sultan. But Mahmud had a bigger vision than conquest. He wanted Ghazni to become the world's greatest center of knowledge, rivaling Baghdad itself. He invited scholars from across the globe, and when invitations weren't enough, he brought them by force. One of these scholars was Biruni, arguably the greatest scientific mind of that era. Mahmud kept him close, but building a research empire required enormous wealth. And books in that era were handwritten. A single volume could cost as much as a horse. Research was expensive. Mahmud needed funding. The treasure of Hindustan. His eyes landed on Hindustan, ancient India, which held nearly 30% of the world's total wealth at the time. The wealthy had stored this fortune in large temple banks across major cities. And the central bank of this entire system, the Somnath Temple, built on the Arabian Sea coast in Gujarat. Somnath was unlike anything the world had seen. Its 56 pillars were made of pure gold. Lamps of solid gold illuminated its halls. A massive bell hung from golden chains thick as a man's arm. Over 1,000 idols crafted from gold and silver surrounded the main shrine. The entrance curtain was woven with gold thread, embedded with diamonds. Each panel worth what today would be $2 million. 3 sides of the temple were surrounded by the sea. The only land route led through one of the harshest deserts on Earth, where armies historically died of thirst before getting close. Somnath was considered unconquerable. 87092. The march to Somnath. Mahmud assembled 30,000 soldiers and set out on a 5,000-kilometer journey. He prepared meticulously, 2 camels per soldier carrying food and water, plus 20,000 extra supply camels. As news spread across Hindustan, city after city surrendered without a fight. Mahmud had never lost a battle in his life. No one wanted to test that record. Then came the desert. For nearly a month, the army pushed through scorching heat and emptiness. Then suddenly, a massive enemy force appeared, charging at full speed. And leading the charge were war elephants, the tanks of the ancient world. Horses famously panicked and fled at the sight of them. Except Mahmud's horses didn't flee, because Mahmud had anticipated this. Back in Ghazni, he placed large elephant statues in every stable, conditioning his cavalry to remain calm around them. His intelligence network had warned him months in advance. His trained cavalry charged straight into the elephants. The enemy army was stunned. They were defeated, and the march continued. The fall of Somnath. When Mahmud's army finally reached Somnath, the local king had already fled. living a life of luxury, had not prepared him for this moment. The people climbed the walls and shouted that their god Somnath would destroy this invading army. The next morning, battle began. It lasted 3 days. Reinforcements arrived from behind. But after fierce fighting, Mahmud's forces prevailed. Somnath fell. The gold collected was staggering, 20 million gold dinars in coins alone, worth roughly $6 billion in today's money. That's enough to build 3 Burj Khalifa towers. And that was just the coins, not counting the gold pillars, idols, and ornaments. What Mahmud did with the wealth? Mahmud took this wealth and built something remarkable. A Ruz al-Falak, a university so breathtaking people said it looked like it had descended from heaven. Thousands of students studied on full scholarships. Over 400 scholars taught and researched there. Ghazni became the Silicon Valley of its time. Simultaneously, Mahmud established Lahore as the new capital of his empire. He sent a governor named Malik Ayaz, a man from Georgia, Eastern Europe, who built a system where Hindus and Muslims traded and lived together seamlessly. And from a hill near Lahore, Biruni calculated the circumference of the earth, with an accuracy that modern satellites have confirmed to be remarkably precise. This empire, 1,000 years ago, knew the size of our planet. Was Mahmud an enemy of Hindus? Here's what most people don't know. On the road to Somnath, Mahmud passed over 10,000 temples. He destroyed only a handful at the very beginning. He had designated Hindu quarters in Ghazni, where people worshipped freely and safely. 5 out of his 12 top generals were Hindu, and roughly 30 to 35% of the very army that attacked Somnath was composed of Hindu soldiers. After Mahmud's era, Hindus and Muslims lived together in relative peace for 800 years. The real villain. Then came the British Empire. They understood one thing clearly: you cannot rule a united people. So they systematically rewrote history, portraying centuries of coexistence as centuries of oppression. They convinced Hindus that Muslims had always been their oppressors, and vice versa. They looted the wealth of the subcontinent and shipped it to London. And the greatest thing they stole wasn't gold, it was Hindu-Muslim unity. The word loot itself entered the English dictionary from Hindi, a small symbol of what Britain took from this land. 1,000 years ago, another conqueror rose from Afghanistan, Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni. He invaded Hindustan and established the first Muslim sultanate on the subcontinent. That story? Coming next.